Tanya, could you please give us an advice? How much percentage you think we should give away to the refer people?
Oh, I mean, that's a negotiation too.
Oh,
When people refer businesses to
yeah,
you,
yes.
yeah, I mean, I think that depends on where they come from, and
Oh,
because I can tell you, I've had agents, residential agents that refer a business to me
yeah.
where they've already been working with the business owner for the last 6 or 8 months. And so I've done a 50% referral fee to them because they've already been working with this person for so long that, it didn't make sense to do it differently. Um, but that's not generally how I do things. I mean, normally I give like a 20% referral fee, 20% of the side referred. So if somebody refers me a listing, they're going to get 20% of the listing side. But that's if they're just giving me contact
Mhm.
information. So it really depends. If it's like I have one right now where I'm doing a co-broker deal because the agent is she's not with EXP. She's an outside agent with another brokerage firm, but what we're selling is her family's business and the
Mm.
real estate. So I'm doing a 50% co-broker with her because it makes sense to do it that way. So you have to always look at the circumstances and determine what's going to be reasonable and fair. That's what I always think about is what's going to be fair. And you can start off one way and then change it down the road. I've done that too. I had a deal where it was the business and the real estate, and I had a commercial broker I brought into it. We were going to do a 50-50 split on all of it. And then it turned out that, he was actually doing a lot more of the work than I was. The business really was not going to be very, you couldn't sell the business and support the real estate mortgage payment. It just wasn't going to work. And the business didn't need to stay in that location. So it was going to be better off just to sell the building. And so, we ended up where they liquidated the business and all of that. And we changed the percentage because he was doing a lot more of the work than I was. So we just changed it.
Mm.
So you just try and be fair. I mean, look, at the end of the day, every deal is not going to be, it's not going to be your last deal,
Oh,
right? It's
yeah,
not, there is no deal out there that's going to, be the one that sets you up for life. I mean, so you don't want to burn relationships. Ultimately you want to be able to work with people. You want to be fair with them.
yes,
You you want to be able to work with them in the future, right?
yes.
And if another situation comes up where you can collaborate, because I can tell you, when you're collaborating with other people, you can handle a lot more deals at one time. When you're working solo, you only have so many hours in the day. There's only so much you can juggle and do a good job with it.
That's
But
true.
when you have other people that you can collaborate with, now you can pick up the phone and say, hey, my plate's kind of full. I just had this great opportunity come in. Let me pull you into it. You can do, for the next few weeks or whatever, it's going to be more on your plate than mine. It'll even out over time. Right. And, but you can get things done that way. You don't have
Thank
to, you don't have to pass up opportunities, and you also don't take things on and then do a poor job, because that's going to ruin your reputation.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Nancy.
So my question is, when you do the referral, do you have like different levels of referral fees? Like, for example, in commercial, my mentor says, if it's just a pass through, it's 5%. If they kind of know each other, acquaintances is 10%. If you're sitting right down with the buyer, with the referral, and you're having lunch, that's a 25%. Do you have something like that? Or is it 20% all the way?
Well, like I said, I look at the circumstance. So I don't have any type of hard and fast rules. I look at the circumstances. who's referring the business to me, and what their relationship is to the buyer, or to the seller rather, if any. I don't typically deal with buyers. My practice, the only time I deal with buyers is when they're inquiring on one of my listings, or if it is a business looking to expand through acquisition, then I might take them on as a buy-side client at that point, because they're already an existing business. But I will typically represent like first-time buyers looking for an auto repair shop or something like that. I just don't do that. And I've tried it earlier on in my career and didn't find that it was productive, so I just decided I don't do it anymore. So again, if somebody's going to hand you a prospective seller that wants to sell, right, then the question is, what's the relationship between that person that's referring and the seller? Is there a relationship? Because clearly that's going to be one factor that has to be considered. I've got another one right now that I'm trying to get on board. I don't have it listed yet, but the agent, actually, it's her parents' business. So clearly that's going to be a different level than something that's not. Or than just, somebody she met at a networking meeting, right? So if it's a referral of somebody that they met at a networking meeting, and the seller wants to sell, wants to retire, kids don't want the business, that whole thing, but there's no real relationship there, then usually me personally, I usually offer them 20% of the listing side fee, and that's it. Sometimes you have agents that'll call you up and they'll start shopping. They'll say, well, I have a potential referral for you, but I want 50%. Like, well, that's not a standard referral fee for me. So it would depend on the circumstances whether or not I'm open to that. So, and then, or sometimes they'll say, well, I want, so-and-so, another agent will give me 30% or give me 35%. So it really reminds me of the sellers, where you're talking to a seller, you do the valuation, you're talking to them, they start asking you about your fees, you tell them what your fees are, and they say, oh, well, so-and-so down the street will do it for 7%. It's like, well, then hire so-and-so down the street, because my fees are my fees. They're not negotiable. And, if you think they're going to do a better job for you, then fine. But I'm not the Kmart of business brokerage, and I'm not going to negotiate and do 4% deals just because some other agent that has no knowledge about the business is offering to do a 4% deal. And that's just not who I am.
And who would you want working for you if you're a business owner? Somebody like that guy down the street who's discounting his fees, or somebody like Tanya, who is a better negotiator, who's not going to just cave at the instant pressure of, because that's how she'll represent you in the business as well, right?
Yeah, it's like, how hard am I going to fight to get your price for you if I'm willing to give away my fee right from the get-go? So you just learn after a while. And the sellers who are wanting to, the other thing I learned is that anytime I discounted my fee up front, it turned into a deal from hell anyways. The seller was like the most difficult person on the planet to work with. And so, yeah, your fees need to be your fees. Now, that's not to say they're never negotiable. Again, depends on circumstances. Somebody asks you up front what your fees are, and you tell them, and then you do the valuation. You find out maybe their business is worth $7 or $8 million. So maybe you're willing to negotiate a little bit on that and charge them differently than if their business is worth 700,000 or 800,000. Right.
Right. Well,
so it just makes sense.
I was also asking about when there are other referral agents, especially residential, they're used to 25, 35, 40% referral fees. And so I had a situation where he doesn't even know the name of the person referring to, and he says, I'm asking for 35%. And I said, well, usually we don't do that. And I explained you know, how cold, warm, and hot the relationship is. And he says, well, I was just trying to give you a chance. And so if you won't take it, I'll give it to someone who would. And so my question to you is like, how often do you have to negotiate, or this is to the group too, how often have you had to negotiate the referral fee with the person who's referring to you?
I mean, for me personally, not very often. And like I said, I try and be fair. And so, but if it's a situation like that, well, I don't do daisy chains. So if it's somebody who's referring and they don't even know the name or the person, it's not even their contact. It's somebody else, you know, that's a daisy chain, and they have no business accepting a referral from somebody if they can't provide the service. So, you know, again, it goes back to the integrity of the whole transaction. And it's like, when they, in that situation, I just pass. It's like, no, you know, because they don't know the contact anyways. They have no business asking me about, you know, asking me about referral fees or anything else. It's not their contact. So just, yeah. But
the challenge I have with referrals is like, I'll get them on a restaurant or something like that, and they want 25%, but like I'm not even sure I can take that listing in the first place. So I have to learn more about the business. So it's kind of a soft commitment, and like, hey,
Yeah.
I'll take care of you, but I need to look at their financials to see the marketability of this business in the first place. So yeah, it's a challenge working with residential realtors that want to refer some of these things, because you know, you want to get the business, but by the time you pay 40% referral fee, there's nothing left at the end of it. So yeah, anyway, yeah.
Yeah, and I could tell you,
not all residential.
No, true.
Not
Yeah,
all
yeah.
residential.
Maybe some residential.
I was about to say that myself. Not all
And
residential.
also, go ahead, Terrence.
No, I was echoing Master, not all residential. Because I just moved back over from EXP Commercial. I moved to a totally different brokerage. I'm with LPT Realty now. So I'm back on that side, because now I can still do my luxury listings, residential listings, and also do businesses, because they don't handcuff me like EXP Commercial did.
Yeah.
So I'm feeling good.
Good.
You can refer those things to me, or if I refer something to you, I understand both sides. So you won't get that craziness from me. If I only give you a name, I won't expect much at all, but I'm going to do the legwork. So when I pass it over to you, it's probably, you probably going to want to pay me 30%.